we're not live yet. It hasn't popped up. There we go. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to Redefining Entrepreneurship. I'm just going to take a second here, make sure, well, we should be because Facebook auto-populated that comment that I keep forgetting to remove. So if you're watching outside of the Facebook group on my personal page, there is a link to come join us in the Facebook group as well. So welcome to Redefining Entrepreneurship. My name is Lori Conkler, and I am one of the hosts of this amazing show that you guys have all been tuning in for with us. But something that you might see that's a little different this week is the person sitting beside me. Let me make sure, yeah, we're live in the group here. Hey, Michael. So Mara is not going anywhere, first of all, let me say that. But she's not feeling well. So we were supposed to bring you guys a surprise last week, and life happens. That's the whole thing, redefining entrepreneurship. We do it the way we need to, we want to. So Jamie here, my wonderful friend, colleague, client, like all of the things, was the surprise we were going to announce last week. So drum roll. We have a new co-host, and Jamie will be joining us on these lives going forward. And Mara will be back on our next one, just again, not feeling well. So welcome, Jamie. Because it's your first time, I mean, in this setting, we've done lives before together. But if you want to just like quickly introduce yourself, because I think it's important for people to understand your connection to, in terms of like the concept of redefining entrepreneurship, which is our overarching topic. Today, our topic is stepping into CEO, but Jamie, I'll let her introduce herself and, what it means to her when it comes to redefining entrepreneurship.
Sure. Hi, Lori. Hi, everybody. Surprise! Just a little bit of a late surprise. But anyway, I am Jamie Colcerna, and I'm a relationship alignment coach. So I actually use a tool called Human Design to help you align to that which is inside of you, that wisdom, that internal guidance, that knowing. We all have that within us, and we forget that. We orient to other things in our environment around us, and when we do that, we place priorities outside of ourselves. And so coming back to ourselves, to that power, to alignment, helps us to reorient to that empowered like boss that we really are, which I think goes right into the CEO journey.
CEO, yeah, exactly. So, and you all, if you've been watching Mara and I doing this, you've heard Mara also speak about human design. So, I am not the human design expert, but I have these brilliant women in my life who are, which I'm so grateful for, and they've really helped me, get to know myself better and understand myself and what that means in terms of my journey as an entrepreneur and into my role as a CEO. So they come at it from a few different kinds of angles, but I think it's just, it's so exciting to have you here, Jamie. So, okay, let's dive in a little bit. And if you are joining us live, say hello. If you're joining us for the replay, give us a hashtag replay. Let us know where you're joining from. Sometimes we do have trouble, for those that are here live, we have trouble sometimes getting comments in from the different platforms that we're streaming to. So if we do not respond to you, we will. So just say hi, put your comments in, and we do come back and look at those too after the show. So today, stepping into CEO, as we said, is kind of the topic of conversation that we wanted to talk about, because, I think a lot of people get into business and they're like, okay, I started my own business, I'm the CEO, but it's not necessarily the same thing. And I think it's important for us to really first start out by discussing like CEO versus, entrepreneur or business owner. What is the difference, and like, why does that actually matter? So Jamie, I'm actually going to throw it over to you first and see, like, in your mind, like, what do you describe that difference as?
Oh, I love it. Ask the alignment expert, not the business expert, about the difference between these two. Let's see. There's definitely some, from my point of view, a growth mindset coming into that, stepping into that CEO, and even into that business owner or business owner's role, coming from my own perspective, starting out as having an employee mindset, having that evolution of the desire of entrepreneurship and then stepping into what does entrepreneurship even look like, and then, oh my gosh, does that mean I own a business? And then I do own a business, and then wait, now I have to run the business and think of it from a different perspective. So the CEO is like that overarching umbrella leadership role that, from my perspective here where I am, really asks you to remove yourself maybe from the being in the forest and be able to kind of see the forest for what it is and make decisions from that point of view. And yeah, it's a journey, I believe, that we all have to take if we want to achieve that depth and maturity level of business.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And that was great. And the reason that I asked the alignment expert before I did the business person, because I think it's important to make that connection, to not just like a title, but what it actually really means for you and about you. And, you're right. I think so. Where I see it, like business owner, like, okay, let's say there's a lot of you are coaches or service providers, I know we have some like brick and mortar business owners and leaders here as well. But like when you first start out, you're like, okay, I'm a coach, right? You don't say I'm a CEO. When people ask, you say I'm a coach. And the like the difference in how you identify yourself is a big part of that difference. And it's not just like the words that you use, but it's you embodying that next level version of you. And recognizing, yes, you got into it for a certain reason, but when you first come in, it is really hard, even if you're the most brilliant powerhouse woman. And actually those are some of, we've got some here, right, that I'm sure went through stuff, as you were making these transitions. But you have these brilliant women who left maybe even CEO positions in their corporate world to start a business of their own, where then you come in and you just feel like you're like a kindergartner again, and you don't know what the hell you're doing. And that's not necessarily CEO, but the CEO is that version of you, whether it's a year, 2 years, et cetera, down the line, where you've been doing this for a while. Maybe you're hiring people, maybe you're not hiring people or don't have a team yet. A lot of times you do, but it's coming at your business from a different angle. It's not just about getting the next client. It's not just about making a certain amount of money. Like, yeah, as CEOs, we talk about money all the time, but it's the bigger, greater vision of what we're here to do. And knowing, I think, that vision, we aren't stuck in, I don't know if you use these words, but something along these lines, like you're not stuck in the weeds doing necessarily the day-to-day. You, as a CEO, you're in a position where you're thinking about, okay, is it time for me to hire a team to do this stuff for me that I've been doing? Or is it time for me to get rid of, this, that, or the other thing, and make those decisions from a really different level and a place of empowerment, which, is all, Jamie's all about, that expertise. So really looking to dive into that more.
Yeah, you brought up like what you were saying brought this like point to the front of my like mind around it really does come back to relationships. So when we're starting our business and we're saying things like if you're a service provider or a coach, you're saying I'm a coach, I help people, your thoughts, your mindset, your existence is evolving around these new relationships and trying to figure out that like client, what is a client relationship, or what is this new thing I'm doing? And then as we're developing, you get like relationships with collaborators, relationships with, it like grows and expands in capacity of like the broadness of your relationships. And then as a CEO, your relationship isn't necessarily that intimate one with every client and constantly thinking about that one, but the relationship is, with expansion, evolution, growth. What are my resources? What are the resources it takes down the line? And, it's just interesting how that it really does just all come back to relationship and evolution of capacity for that.
Yeah, it really, really does. And, in terms of like the shifts that, because I know, one of the other things that we said we were going to talk about today was kind of the shifts of like making the shift from where you are to where you want to be, and the things that you kind of have to put in place. Now, what I'm going to say is we're going to talk about it from a different perspective than Mara would have. So we will definitely be bringing this conversation back around at a different point too, where we're going to talk about the logistics and who you need and what positions and why. But I think, for us today, we're going to talk more just about the emotional shifts, the shifts in your body and your mindset, in the way that you approach your business. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit of technical stuff too, I'm sure. But really, what does it take to make those shifts, and why is it essential to make these shifts in order to really effortlessly achieve your financial goals, your lifestyle goals too, because it's not just about the money. Again, when you step into CEO, you have to really prioritize yourself, and recognize the things that you need to let go of so that you can still have that quality of life that you want, the reason that you left your corporate job in the first place, right? Or that you wanted to do that in the first place. And I think, it's, what was I going to say with that? I don't remember, but it looks like you had something to say. So feel free to chime in.
It's funny. I didn't even know I looked like I had something to say. I think an idea just came like lightning bolted in there. What was coming up as you were talking about that was, again, I know I'm saying evolution a lot, but there's this, my cat came and distracted me too. But anyway, there's this, again, okay, so we've got this relationship with, you know what? I lost it. Let's just keep going with shift, because yeah, we just that went in and out.
Real life happens and we get distracted. Totally get it.
I think I remember what I was gonna say. Was a lot of this for me, and I'll speak to this from personal experience and with clients, is a lot of this comes down to orientation. And as women, as employees, as people who grow up on this earth, we learn that we orient ourselves to the person in front of us, to the thing that's most important in front of us. We like attach to them, and then they're a priority, and we find out how we can help them. How do we serve? How do we give value? And what we forget is that we actually don't need to do that. We want to stay within our power and our strengths and our knowing, and use the people in front of us as information, not as the orientation point. And so the evolution of employee or whatever, all the way through to CEO, is learning how to be oriented from this inner knowing, this inner strength, this purpose of what I am delivering, and not necessarily getting entangled into every person, every situation, every experience in front of me as the orient point that I need to pay attention to. And I don't know if that's making physical sense, but I can see it in my head as a big like compass, and all the things we want to stay in the center and move out, and use that outer ring as information rather than using that outer ring as the thing we're attached to. And I think when we're younger in our journey, or less evolved in our journeys, we are attached to everything in front of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's physically and emotionally, honestly, like, because like, yes, you are when you're like early on in your journey as a business owner and entrepreneur, you can't necessarily afford to hire people. So you are physically doing, all of the things, but then like, there's also the emotional of like looking at everybody else's stuff and what is everybody else doing, and basing your decisions not on what you know to be right and true for yourself, but what other people are telling you to do. And when you're in that space, you can't make the decisions from that place of knowing, in that place of like really believing and trusting in yourself. And that's one of the most important shifts that you are ever going to have to make as a CEO. If you cannot trust yourself and your decisions fully, you're not going to succeed at it. You might make some money, but eventually it's just going to crumble, because that is like at the core, the thing that needs to happen. And this is why it is so important to be able to make those shifts, to allow yourself to move to that next level. Oops, sorry, the TV tray thing here.
And it's just, there's this big like that the shift isn't in the title, that you don't become a CEO and then learn how to be a CEO, that this is really about opening, evolving, and embodying that which a CEO has the capacity and the willingness and the foresight and insight to make when they're deciding on things, that then you are the CEO and then you act as the CEO and you create from that CEO standpoint. But that is not necessarily a dollar amount, necessarily a time amount. It is building this
Mm-hmm.
this internal CEO-ness that we all do have, and then implementing it and integrating it into business and
Yeah.
making it come to true. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. And it isn't just about your title, it is about the person that you are. And you can't just make a decision. I mean, you can make the decision to be the CEO, but it's not just in the title of, okay, I'm going to go hire someone. And I'll fully admit, like, I made that mistake. I made that mistake. And I had a team. I mean, I was really lucky. I had a team very early on in my business, and I was part of an organization that allowed me to bring people on like before I could actually afford it as like interns and stuff, which some of those people did transition into paid roles. I mean, I hired my first person just about 4 years ago, actually. Matthew, that was my first hire. He's still with me, and it's been almost exactly 4 years right now. But
Good hire.
he was, and he was a great hire. But at the time, I actually probably wasn't really ready for him because I had not, and he can tell you, what the journey's been like, with me, because I was not really in that CEO mindset, for lack of a better term. I feel like that one's a little overused, like CEO mindset, but I wasn't necessarily in that space yet. I was still in the, I have to have my hands in everything. I have to see what everyone else is doing, phase, where I did not have the level of self-trust necessary to have the team that I had in the beginning. So therefore, I wasn't, and Matthew wasn't the only one that I was paying at that point. Like he was the first, but very quickly thereafter, we added more people. But I still needed to really make those internal shifts for myself so that I could become the leader that he and the rest of the team needed me to be. And I didn't think of it that way back then because I came from a long corporate background. I was an executive. I led teams of like up to 75 people. Like I had leadership experience. So in my mind, like I can come in and be a leader, no problem. But it's different when it's, especially when, I mean, it's different when it's your own, especially when it's your own. This is still, if you're going in a corporate world up to CEO, you still have to make that shift. But this is really talking about that shift as an entrepreneur into that CEO space. And it took me years, and Matthew could probably tell you because he's witnessed it very closely, what my journey has been like and the type of boss I am now versus who I was even 3 months ago. Like we had a kind of heart to heart a few months ago of like, this is exactly what I need. It was me actually finally saying like, this is exactly what I need, and staying really grounded in my needs and like not getting sidetracked. So I know that was like a little tangent, but I think it was really relevant to what you were kind of just saying too. Like you have to be in that position, not just saying I'm a CEO, but of actually really shifting who you are in order to be that person. So now, like, it's easy for me to go out and sell and like do the things that I need to do and to trust my people because I trust myself. But I didn't
Mm.
in the beginning.
Oh, it's so powerful. And what I was like hearing you say is like, so I think this is maybe true. I'm not the business expert by any means, but I think there's a lot of businesses being run by really great managers, and that we get to that management level and then we hire, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not the same as CEO level. And what's happening, or what I heard you say, like what happened is like you had to continually find that permission to become that next level. Like you had to move from manager to CEO, and that is, I really believe that's us giving ourselves permission to really be truthful about what we're letting go of and what we're fighting for, what we're imagining and executing versus what we're knowing is a distraction. And all of that takes trust. It takes confidence that all of your decisions are the right decisions because they just take you to the next step. I mean, that is CEO level. That's not manager level. And there's nothing wrong with either of them. But
No.
we've got to be truthful with ourselves about where we are on the journey so we don't go around calling ourselves CEO and then wondering what's wrong with us and why we're not there yet. It's just
Yeah.
because we're not there yet. We're a manager. We're getting there.
You're
And
getting,
that's okay.
yeah. And I So, I mean, I shared a little bit of my journey, Jamie. I would love to kind of hear yours because I've been able to witness it, obviously, like from a different viewpoint. But um, you yourself have just recently really kind of stepped into more of that CEO role over the last several, like, well, the last year, really.
Mhm.
So, yeah, let's just love to hear from your perspective what that was like and why now that you are in a different space, like how it's changed your perspective with business and the way you operate, the way you sell, all of it.
Mhm. Sure. So let's see. I have always been a very comfortable employee that never wanted to work for other people. I think that's the best descriptor
Yeah.
of me all the way up until I started thinking about having a business. So never loved working for other people, but I'm really good at it. I can do any task. I'm coachable. I can take direction. And so then stepping into this entrepreneurial world and starting a business as a life coach, I'll admit I felt completely lost. I felt very clear about how I could help people, and that when I was in front of the women that were attracted to what I was like talking about in my own story, that they were really getting transformation with the work we were doing. But I could not, for the life of me, get to get to an understanding in that beginning part around how in the world do I find somebody to tell me what the next right move is? Or how in the world do I find the next right move? Like, who's the boss here? Like, how can I be the boss and not know what I'm doing? That was very confusing. So the past year has been really not just about deepening my skills as a coach or deepening my authority as a human design expert. All of that is like, okay, I got that, not a big deal. But it's really about deepening my permission to say those things and to bring those things forth and bring that value to other people and discern what's important to get that value out versus what's not important, rather than just staying in confusion and just hoping somebody or something will tell me the answer, or even the human design chart will tell me the answer, right? And so the evolution of, oh, I can speak about my work in different ways, and they can all be correct, or they can all land for somebody different, or each piece could be valuable, was shocking. And then the evolution of, I can use my personal Facebook and social media to create a business and have business like conversations, was shocking and terrifying. And then getting through, and all of these layers of permission started to get me to, while in my professional life, I've been a great employee and great manager. Building that business life, I had to build all the way into management again, and then start being comfortable with collaborating with people and making real decisions and taking ownership over the direction I might want to take my business, whether I want to work with people one-on-one or in groups or all together or pricing. All of that has moved from, oh my gosh, what should I do? What's the right answer? To, it's time to make a decision. It's time to move forward, and we'll see what happens and evaluate as we go along. But I'm going to trust that making the decision is the next move. That's the next right move. So very maybe long-winded, but I guess that, and what that has,
Mm-hmm.
what's come of that has been a confidence and a willingness to make another decision, and a confidence and a willingness to give myself permission in another area, in another small space. And I have a lot, I believe for myself, I have a ways to go until I was really confidently wearing what I would call a CEO mindset hat. But I have moments of it, and I have moments of manager, and I have moments of employee, and now I have all of those all the time available. Whereas before, I may not have had moments of CEO mindset yet. I couldn't have imagined it. I couldn't have imagined making decisions from that state. So that's been my journey with it.
Yeah, which I'm gonna toot your horn a little more than you're tooting your own because you're saying like I don't think I'm fully there. That I think that you are, but it's it is really about you fully embodying that, and so that is there's an example there too. Like you have to fully be in it because even though someone else from the outside in might be able to see the like how far you've come, it's like I'm going to use an example here. Like when someone gets a haircut,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like sometimes you just don't notice because you just see them all day, every day, and it's just like you don't notice that. It's kind of like yourself too. Like you're in it every day. You don't necessarily fully always recognize the outside perspective of the shifts you've actually made and how like much you've already stepped into that. So,
Mm-hmm.
just saying, it's like you got a haircut and you just didn't see it, or I didn't see it, kind of thing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And that's really valuable. That's another valuable piece is the capacity to accept that, to hear that and
Mhm.
not internally go, she has no idea how much I don't know what I'm doing, right? Like, but to be able to hear that and go, wow, yeah, I really have come so far. I am making decisions and it's showing up in the world. People are seeing it. That is part of CEO mindset,
Mhm.
not that you have to have it all the time, right? But that we have to be allowed, able, have the permission within ourselves to say, yeah, thanks for seeing me in that power. Like, whoo, that's a different type of power for some
Yeah.
of us.
Yeah, exactly. And it's being able to accept that instead of like arguing against it or like feeling uncomfortable with the idea of being that. So, and why this is so essential when it comes to like achieving financial goals is now, don't get me wrong, like there's people you can go out. I've seen people make a lot of money and really fast, and they don't have this,
Mm.
but they can't sustain it. They're terrible leaders. Their team members either like hate them or hate working for them because they don't know how to lead, because they themselves don't know what they're doing. They're not confident in themselves, so they can't lead other people successfully. So, if their business continues, then a lot of times they have high turnover rates, or they still like are constantly second guessing and judging
Mm-hmm.
themselves, and they don't have that level of confidence. And then eventually what happens is that catches up with you, and people start to reflect on or be able to see that. Especially now, you guys know I talk a lot about content that comes through in your content and your conversations, and those are the businesses that fizzle out. It's kind of like the one hit wonders, when it comes to like, think about Milli Vanilli, or, like I'm trying to like think of some one hit wonders. Hanson, which has now like made a comeback apparently, but um, yeah, it's kind of like that. Like you can become a one hit wonder, make a lot of money, and then fizzle out, or you can be a CEO and make money, whether it's fast, whether it takes you time to get there. But the thing is once you step into your role as a CEO, it is going to be easy to make that money because you do feel confident in yourself. You do feel confident in your decisions. You feel confident handing things over to your team because you've gone first and you've tested it. And I just have to pause here as I'm saying that, because this is where knowing your human design is very important, and what it's going to take for you, because Jamie and I are both 1-3
Mm-hmm.
profiles. So we do have that, need to really figure it out and go. So like I was saying, go first. And like, I literally had to physically go through that. And Jamie, you had to go through the trial and error in order to get to that space that you now feel confident in your ability to make these decisions, to be a CEO, so you can sustain this success and you can go out and just talk about your work without judging yourself, without
Mm-hmm.
questioning whether it's the right thing, without comparing yourself to other people. Now, I'm not going to say those things don't ever happen, because they do, whether you're making 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. I know all of them and I know it happens to all of them. But the way that you are able to shift out of those states when you are in the CEO space and mindset is completely different than where you were when you were just a coach starting your business.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I feel like
yeah,
that's like a deep breath moment. Like,
yeah, it is. And I've noticed like we've had people on, because I can see like people jumping on and stuff and sticking around, but we haven't had a lot of. This has definitely been a one, I think, where you have to really absorb it, because we haven't had a lot of comments. And if you guys are watching and you have thoughts, comments, questions, this is a no judgment zone. So I just want
mm,
to put that out there. Like I know I say it's a safe space. Um, it is public because we're live, obviously, but it is a safe space in terms of like, we don't judge. We're here to answer questions. So, whether it's here or privately, feel free to shoot us a message as this is coming up, because the thing is we've been there, we are
mm-hmm.
there, because it's not a journey that ends. Like when you step into that CEO mindset, it is constant work to keep yourself at that space of like ease and flow in your business, and really just feeling that confidence. So go ahead.
I'd love to into that from a human design standpoint, just a little bit, just kind of about what you were talking about before we took a breath and coming into right now. But one thing you were talking about was how you and I are both 1-3 profiles, and yeah, we've got some trial and tribulations happening so that we can come to the awareness of what it is that we know, that we're authorities in. And here's where that can get so tricky, and when you don't have your human design information, is you look at that, somebody on the outside looks at that and goes, that's how it's got to be. But maybe they're a 2-4 profile, and those 2-4 profiles are naturals. They don't have to do a lot of trial and error, and a lot of times where they get stuck up is feeling guilty or doubting how easy everything feels. It's like, it's got to be tougher. It's got to be, let me find the real answer, when really the answer is just right there. And so if we haven't come to that CEO mindset, that CEO internal power yet, we're still comparing ourselves to the other businesses around us, or powerful women, or anything in our lives, really, we're comparing. Well, that comparing can be really valuable to show us what we desire and what we want. But the despairing part is when we think that we have the same energy as that business, that other person in front of us, and we start making decisions as though that were the right way. And we each have a right way. And many of us have similarities. Laurie and I are the same profile, but my goodness, are we different in our emotional experience? Are we so different in how we experience drive and how we see ourselves as worthy versus not worthy, and when that happens? And so coming into that CEO mindset is going, I see the value in what's in front of me. I'm learning from the really juicy parts, and I'm taking that in and growing with what works for me, and trusting that and giving that to myself, and not saying, but it's got to be Lori's way because she's the one that did it. No, she did do it. Great. Let's celebrate it. Let's learn from it, and let's honor our energy. And I think that's a place where we can get really tricked up.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, I'm to my own horn a little bit here, I guess, but that's why it's so important to, our horns really, but to make sure when you are hiring coaches and mentors, and, making sure that those people are the right people for you, right? And that they understand that, well, yes, they may teach you things. You need to step into your own role and to be yourself. And they're going, a real true leader, a coach that is a true leader is going to lead you through that process of self-discovery, whether they're a human design expert or not, to really know the right way for you to adapt to things. So we do have a question here too, which I can pop up on the screen.
I feel like this is a great question for what we're talking about, because you're so
good
at this.
Bring that in.
Your container creates these types of capacities of what we're talking about around, yes, I have done this. I've gone before you. I can help you through because I've been there, but that doesn't mean you're going to go there. You've got your travel, you've got your road, and I've got experience and authority to help you unfold that. And that's been so powerful for me. I think that's why I know it so well, is because I'm experiencing it. Yeah. Okay, question.
Yeah. So how do you overcome the fear of the unknown when moving from the corporate space or corporate world to your own business? And that is a great question. And some of you, are like just making the step, like you're quitting or you're leaving, or some of you are still juggling both worlds. So again, I think, Jamie, I'm actually going to defer to you a little bit on this one, because I think it does come back around a bit to the human design aspect of how you overcome that fear, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see. I'm going to slow us down just a little bit and say that it's really going to first come from curiosity, asking yourself about that fear and getting really familiar with what that fear is. Is it the fear of what everybody's going to think of me? Is it the fear of financial insecurity? Is it the fear of, I don't know if I have a real idea? Or is it the fear of, this is new and I've never tried new before? The fear, getting familiar and asking yourself about it and allowing yourself to witness through curiosity is going to give you so many answers to how you get through it. In my world, the solution is in the problem. And so it's not that we need to hold on to that problem forever. We need to get curious, open it up, and find out, where is that fear in your body right now? What is it telling you? Once you know that fear, you start identifying the needs that will help you identify the resources to get you through that. And so from a human design standpoint, coming into alignment with overcoming the fear of the unknown is really understanding what is unknown, what is the fear, because it's not everything. It's not stepping out of corporate and into business. That might feel exhilarating, but it's whatever it is for you. That would be how I would start with unraveling that, because you've got it. You've got the power. If you've got the desire, you have it in you, but we've got to get that direction opened up so that you know what step you want to take.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, um, like for me, and you need to, it's easy for us to say, well, you just need to do that, right? So now for me, like this is a process that I do a lot of times with my clients, but it's, you ask yourself, kind of this series of questions about, like, what is it, this thing that you want, right? And how much do you want it? So for instance, in this case, how do I feel? Like, how much do I want to do this? Or how do I feel about this? Or how excited am I about this thing? Like asking yourself that question kind of on like a scale of 1 to 10, and really just not using your head, but like feeling in your body on a scale of 1 to 10, like 10 being the like, yes, I want this, or yes, that resonates, because sometimes it's not a positive question, it's a negative. So 10 is like, yes, your body is totally on board with that thing that you're saying. 0, 1 saying, no, that doesn't resonate, that's not me, because that's going to help you identify then what is the issue. So, and going through this process of, is it a fear of, you know, the unknown? Is it that I don't feel like I'm worthy? Because again, I have a series of questions that I bring people through to this, so it helps you to identify that, and whatever those questions are for you, then you can really go deeper into that. And if it's meditation, if it's journaling, whatever your different methods are for really going deep into that. And if you aren't sure what those are, feel free to reach out to us. But and then it is going deeper into that, because when you get into that space of meditation, or tapping, or something around something, that's going to bring up for you what exactly is that fear, what is the feeling that you need to shift, so that you can actually go into those spaces and then make those shifts and journal and do the things you need to do.
Yeah, and the other piece is, I think with this is remembering that it's not all a leap. So I believe this is really about the journey of the CEO as well. In the beginning, when we're making these moves, we're thinking of everything as a leap, as a big step, as, oh my gosh, I'm going from this life to this life. But once you've developed into some experience, and you can look at this in other areas in your life, you can start to break out these huge leaps into much smaller, manageable, actionable, aligned decisions and actions. So moving from corporate world and starting your own business, that it's like saying doing the dishes is one task. Well, it's not. It's, you've got to open the dishwasher door, you've got to unload the dishes, you've got to like maybe pre-rinse some, you've got to get the ones in the dining room that your 4 teenagers left from dinner. So there are so many decisions and tasks along the way that may be holding a little bit of fear, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of inspiration, and we want to just allow for the idea to slow your thought process down and give yourself space to say, what does this mean? What are all of the actions in between where I am and where my huge desire is taking me, and how much easier does that feel? Can I take these steps? And I really believe CEOs can do this in a strong way. They can break out big, complicated problems, experiences, solutions, anything, and make them manageable and digestible and actionable for themselves or for their team or for their family, like wherever you're using that embodiment of the CEO.
Yeah, I think I thought of something as you were saying. I don't remember what I was going to say, but I totally agree with everything that you said. And I think it's just, it's that sense of knowing. And the more in tune, the faster and earlier you get in tune with your body and like the feelings in your body and what they mean, the easier it is going to be. Because the thing is I actually saw the person who put the comment. And I know like you've been doing this, for a while already, right? So you now it's just about making these mental shifts and like understanding where the fear is coming up in your body so that you can move it, so that you can change it. And that is really the difference between CEO and business owner, coming full circle here. Like, what is the difference? It's that a business owner like has the fears and they stay in their fears a lot more because they haven't evolved to that level of knowing that a CEO does. When you're a CEO, you trust yourself so much and you trust that this is going to work, that you just show up and you do the things that you know you need to do because you know that when you're in your body, it's going to guide you to the things that you need to do. So it really is that and it's easier said than done getting in touch with your body. It's like, okay, here's my body. What is it telling me? But it's that kind of internal just sense of knowing. And it really does, confidence doesn't sound sexy, but it is confidence. It really all comes back to how you feel about yourself is going to determine how quickly you can shift your fears.
And the quicker you can come into alignment with the love, the reverence, and the absolute awe of every cell of your body right where you are right now, with whatever disease, whatever broken bone, whatever amount of weight you have, whatever curly hair versus straight hair, the more and the quicker you can authentically come into just loving those cells, the faster you will understand what it means to have the question, what is my body telling me? What are these feelings? Where are they? That you do not have to improve to become a CEO to like the body you're in and trust the body you're in. This thing has it. It's got it. And your job is to come into it and recognize it and learn it in a way that maybe you've never experienced before. I certainly hadn't when I started this journey. And that started before the business journey. This learning of trusting that which I have today in this present moment right now. CEOs, embodied CEOs, have that skill, have that availability within them. And I really think that is a powerful distinction between the title and the showing up as. What a powerful thing we're talking about for Women's Day.
It is. Oh yeah, I know. And I'm sorry, I'm terrible. Like I woke up at 3 a.m, couldn't sleep, and so I pulled up Facebook. Terrible thing to do, by the way. Don't do it. I was able to go back to sleep, but that's when I'm like, oh yeah, it's Women's Day because I saw everybody in like Europe and Asia already posting because they were up and about. So yes, this is a very powerful one for Women's Day. We didn't even think about that because this was supposed to be a different day and we had to reschedule, so it just ended up here on Women's Day. So yeah, this is so empowering for that. And just one thing I want to add on that, and then we should probably start to wrap up, but is the body versus the mind. Like we talk about CEO mindset, but it's not about the mindset, it's about the body set. And that's like a made up word probably, but it's about your body, not your mind, because your mind is your body's mechanism to try to protect you. Like your brain is trying to protect you, your body is telling. Like you've probably heard the gut brain connection and all of that. Like we've been led to believe our brain is the thing that controls us, but it's really not. Like we have this inner sense of feelings of knowing. So that's where the concept of gut instinct, and like following your gut instinct has come from, because it's a feeling. It's not the thought. The fear is the thought. Like really like trying to protect you. So you need to identify where it is, what it is, so that you can shift it in your body more so than your mind. Like, yes, mindset is important. Don't get me wrong. But when you can get your body on board with it, your mind will follow.
I wonder if mindset was sort of like originally somewhere like when you're setting your mind to your body, like we are setting the coordinates to align here and get it together. It's not that we use our mind. It's not that we only have our bodies to move. We have to set this thing. There's a coherence that's just when we come into it, we know it, and you know it, I know it, everybody listening knows it. It's happened somewhere, somehow, and that's available all the time. If it's happened, or if you can imagine it happening, it's available.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I mean, I think the perfect way to like just wrap up. So hopefully, again, I know a lot of you have been quiet today, but that's okay. I hope that you have learned a lot. And again, if you resonate with any of this, you have more questions for us, or if you're watching the replay, give us a hashtag replay. You can ask questions. Probably just tag us in the comments so we make sure we see them sooner. Or reach out to myself or Jamie and just ask any questions, or Mara. Honestly, she can help answer these too, even though she was here in spirit today. That we can all help you to point you in the right direction. And obviously, if you want to go deeper, these are all things that we go deeper in separately, and that we could potentially help you do as a team. So just message us, ask us, and then otherwise have a great weekend. I do want to actually, before we drop, I just want to quickly remind you guys, starting Monday, I am going to be dropping some amazing birthday specials. And
can I speak to that really quick? I know you don't know that.
Our anniversary.
We have a very important anniversary coming up. It's the 1-year anniversary where I said yes to a birthday special from Lori, and it was completely unexpected. I think maybe it was unexpected for me. I had been following your material. I really liked you. I thought you were I liked your ideas, but I hadn't had the urge or nudge to really invest in that way, or to or think that I was ready to start this journey into CEO-ship that I'm on. But something about that birthday special, one of those announcements, I don't know what's coming this year, but one of them just hit me right in the, oh yes. And right then we started working together, and oh my gosh, what a year it's been. So I just want to say, listen for the announcements. I would highly recommend it from a very personal point of view.
Oh, well, thank you. And yes, I would agree. So emails coming out. We'll be posting specials here on social media, on Facebook. And I'll be doing a special live next Thursday, which is my actual birthday. I think it's at 11:30 Eastern, but again, look at the event if you're in the Facebook group, or check your email on Monday. But doing a very special announcement of something I'm very, very excited about. Jamie and Mara both know, and you guys are going to be so excited when you guys hear about it. I can't wait to tell you. And on that note, have a fabulous weekend. Welcome, Jamie, to Redefining Entrepreneurship. As you know, you're going to be seeing her face now a lot with us. So welcome, Jamie. We're super excited to have you. And our next one is March 22nd. And then you'll get, hopefully, all three of us together finally.
Yay, thank you.